For this problem, we need to factor the polynomial here, or this trinomial. So whenever you see three terms, you should always think about using the AC method, okay? And the AC method, if you've never seen it before, looks something like this. Well, what is A and C? So if you remember, I'm talking about ax squared plus bx plus c. So the A term is the coefficient in front of the x squared. The b term is the coefficient in front of the x, and the c term is is just the number, just a regular number that doesn't have any variables. So when we do AC method, we're going to do A times C, which is 5 times 6. And if I use the AC method, I'm going to do A times C, which gives us 30. And now I'm going to list all the factors of 30. And again, I got 30 by multiplying A and C together. A, the coefficient in front of x squared, and C, this last number here. So we get 30. 5 times 6 is 30. And we're going to list all the factors of 30. So let's start with 1. There's 1 and 30. There's 2 and 15. There's 3 and 10. 4 doesn't go in. 5 and 6. And then 6 and 5. So then it repeats. So we have all the factors here. And now we look at our C. Since C is a negative, okay, you ask yourself, which one of these factors subtract gives us the 13? So you look at the sign of C. If C is a negative, you subtract to make your B term. If C is a positive, you add to make your B term. In this case, our C is negative, so we're going to subtract to make the B term, which is 13. So which one of these factors subtract gives me 13? Well, you'll see that it's 2 and 15, because 2 minus 15, or 15 minus 2, will give us 13. So we rewrite our first term here, 5x squared, and then we break up our 13x using these two factors. So how do we get 13 when we use 2 and 15, when we subtract? So it's going to have to be a negative 2x and then a positive 15x minus 6. And then we just rewrite the 6 here. Okay, so always double check. Does negative 2x and 15x give me 13x? Yes, it does. Okay, so technically we didn't really change anything. We just kind of broke up this 13 into negative 2x plus 15x, which if you combine them again, you get 13x. So that's okay. Now, when you see four terms, you have to remember to group factor. Because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms now, because I broke up that 13 into two terms. So now I'm going to group factor. So I'm going to group the first two, and I'm going to group the last two. And now, you look at this and you ask yourself, what can you factor from these two groups? I can factor out a x. So I'm left with 5x minus 2. Oh, and by the way, it doesn't matter the order in where you place your negative 2x and your positive 15x, meaning you could have written positive 15x first and then the negative 2x. You should get the same answer at the end. Okay, so again, you could have written 5x squared plus 15x minus 2x minus 6. You should get the same exact answer. So it doesn't matter the order in where you put this negative 2x and this positive 15. The order of them don't matter. So back here, we're going to factor something from these two terms. So if we look at 15 and negative 6, we can factor out a 3. So let's factor out a positive 3. And what's left over when I factor out a 3? I'm left with 5x minus 2. And I see that 5x minus 2 is in common here, so I factor that out. So I'm going to have 5x minus 2 times x plus 3. And now if I look at my choices, which one of these is, so here's my factors. Which one shows up here? X minus 3 is not correct because I have x plus 3, so that's not correct. 5x plus 2, that's not correct because I have 5x minus 2. And here I have 5x minus 3, that's also not correct, that's not one of my factors. So I see that I have an x plus 3, and yep, it matches. So my solution, the answer is x plus 3. And one thing to note is when you see a problem like this, you will never see both of these factors listed as a choice. Okay, only one of them will be listed as a choice. So if you see both your factors as one of the two of the choices here, then something is wrong. You probably messed up a sign or you factored wrong somewhere. So keep that in mind. You will never see both these factors as a choice. Okay, it's either going to be 5x minus 2 that is going to show up or x plus 3 will show up. Never the both of them together.